Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Sound Seal webinar. Today we're going to be covering In-Plant Noise Control with the Industrial Division, and my name is Duncan. So we won't keep you tied up for too long. A quick 15 to 20-minute presentation here with a slide at the end with all of our contact information. So please hang on at the end, and I'll leave that last slide up so you can take down any notes you need to. All right, let's go ahead and begin here. The Industrial Division Noise Control products for In-Plant covers quite a wide array. So we do everything from ceiling baffles, wall absorbers, barrier composites, flexible noise barrier, clear barrier, and of course pipe and duct wrap as well. And I've seen some of these images here, and one of these images here, you'll notice two very small enclosures with some customizations on them. That's a very common, very typical product for us, and you'll see a lot of that in this presentation as well. On the very first page, we're looking at a ceiling here and looking at really just a lot of baffles and banners. In the Industrial Noise Control Division, we handle a lot of large plants. In many cases, we cannot access machinery or we cannot access certain points of the facility, but we can cover walls and ceilings. Ceiling being a great option to place material either perpendicular to or parallel to, and we can do either in an array of different products. We're just showing some various quotes and baffle types with MRC values listed to the far right. The crux of this is a lot of these are going to be very similar, most common being the QF810 and the polywrap. Those types of materials and baffles are probably the biggest sellers here, and they're the most universally utilized because of their frequency response ranges. For lining the pre-fab metal building here, we've got a lot of QF810 on these walls. It's a great example of what we just talked about, placing QF810 in large sections on these walls, but keeping the panel sizable so that they're easy to manage and hang in 4-foot widths. We can cover pretty much 90% of the walls and three sides of this particular unit. And we also retain our thermal insulation value, which is kind of an added bonus at the end of the day, especially if you're working in facilities with machinery that does generate heat, and you're putting in air conditioning into that space, you will get some more nice R value there. It really is a nice lightweight material. It can be cut on site, modified in the field, and there's a lot of versatility here. This is a very big seller. For composites, a composite for us is anything that incorporates both a flexible noise barrier and a quilt of some sort. Some of these have quilt on one side, others have quilt on both sides, and various densities of barrier as well, 1/2 pound, 1 pound, and 2 pound being the most common. And we can do a combination of that. We do a lot of customization here, and you can see in the photo to the right there different flavors we offer. Probably the two biggest terms that you could take away from the composite would be BBC and BSC. BBC covering barrier back composite with the quilt on one side and the barrier on the back, and the BSC with a barrier septum composite, septum being in the middle. The big takeaway from this slide that I want to point out to everyone is that reinforced barrier on the back of our BBCs typically, and a non-reinforced barrier on our BSCs for various reasons. The nice thing about BSC is that it can act as a decoupler with your quilt on the backside. So if you're placing this up against a wall, let's say you've got an office in-plant and you're getting plant noise into that small office, placing the BSC against that wall with a nice decoupler and then a 1 pound or 2 pound barrier is really going to make a huge impact on noise reduction through that wall. We also see this type of material is utilized freehanging as a partition wall or divider, where you've got noise sources on both sides or you've got workers on both sides, and you're benefiting from that absorption value all around. And then, of course, the barrier is mitigating noise passing through that. It's also used as an acoustical door covering as well. We just put a little reinforced edge binding around it, and it's a very durable, high-level blocker for most pass-through doors. Here's a nice example of a BSC25 enclosure with a roof panel. This one is in a facility not far from our plant here in Agawam, It was a 5 horsepower compressor, which was very loud, but they did need some ventilation. So that vent on top was added aftermarket. Someone else added that metal vent on top. But on the side, you see what we call a side air intake baffle. That was added to draw cool air in. That is something we do here at Sound Seal. And around the perimeter, you'll see a nice valance dropping down from the frame to cover the gaps where the panels are hanging from the track. And then there's some sneaky little base plates at the bottom there. I can't quite see them in that photo unless you've seen them later on when we can send you this presentation. But you can see those base plates there supporting this structure. And we provide those basis columns and track and roller hook as well. We've got a 20 decibel reduction at 3 feet with this, which is just phenomenal. We had people that did not have to wear hearing protection working near this piece of equipment anymore, and people could have a nice conversation and talk about work in the work area without having to step away. Barrier-backed composite. BBC is a great product when you're also looking to cordon off or section off one piece of equipment from everything else. We're not concerned with the coupling because we're not placing it against the wall. We also want some higher durability, and we want to be able to move things in and out of the way for high traffic areas, or we want to wrap a piece of equipment with it. That reinforced barrier gives it the ability to be highly durable, take a lot of abuse, a lot of function during the day, in and out. And they also work well in exterior applications. We also make a different facing for exterior, but that barrier never changes. The reinforced barrier is the same across our whole platform. And here you see an enclosure with some before and after numbers, a great example where we've got a feed chute in there. We've got a removable panel section just below. But that's the barrier back you're seeing all the way around. And then there's a clear window where you can see inside the enclosure. The piece of equipment was not in there in this particular photo. And then we've got a metal roof vent baffle that we do provide in-house here, as well as our traditional valance, corner seals, etc. And this was, again, 2 panels per side on a small enclosure with a roof. And I believe we were, again, a 20 dB drop on this one roughly, and it was an incredible impact on space. This is a great example in photo of just about all the options we provide here. We're showing BBC on the front side, that's the barrier back. We're showing a nice clear vinyl window that can be Velcroed on so you can see inside. We're showing the BFC on the left-hand side here with a vent baffle as well. Metal roof top on a solid roof. And we're showing the valance in the corner seal here with our base plates. Also, again, we can do just about anything with track and frame here, as well as design the enclosure with panels only if you want to provide your own materials for that. Some examples later on in this presentation. This is a great one, the bottling plant. They wanted some ESC 25, and they wanted to make sure that it absorbed moist from all around, but also they wanted to make sure that all the clinking bottles and the blowers that were in here were definitely quiet. And you can see that we added both the lower half of this where the machinery engines were, and the upper half of this as well up to where the air blowers were. We had partial and full roof panels on this one, and corner seal strips as needed. Here's a great example of a BBC, and this one in particular was highly custom. We had a feed in here with a clear vinyl window, another clear window here with a meter and gauge that had to be read every hour. And this one was actually framed by other, and I can tell you that because across the top we supplied the panels, and the customer built their own frame in-house, which is perfectly fine. And they've used a fender washer and self-tapping screw to attach these particular panels around their own frame because they're not going to be taking this apart or opening it at any time. So they didn't need a sliding panel system on double track. They just built a very basic frame and attached the panels to themselves. Great showing here of ventilation, viewability, access, and just standard components to really make a custom solution. Another example here, I believe this was kind of a double slide, but again, the BBC 13.2 right here is what we wanted to go to. BSC 25 2000. This is a very large job on a mezzanine And the reason why we love this slide so much is because it really highlights how large we can make these panels. I believe these were 16 footers, actually 12 footers, and then we had some 4 to 6 footers above that. And the great thing about this is where they make penetrations in these panels, they've done them on site. So this material is, of course, you can cut it in the field. We've got edge bonding kits available. We prefer you do that sort of detailing in the field. Can we make cutups for you? Absolutely. If you know exactly where something's going to fall, let's do that for you. If you've got multiple sections of material and you've got different penetrations at different levels, it's always wise to let the installer cut that on site as he's mounting these panels, because as you can see, nice and clean. You can't see the light showing through these cutouts. And then this is from the inside of the mezzanine. As you can see, a lot of these pass-throughs are just nice and tight to the core. After this, we had an incredible 96 to 78, so almost 20 decibel level reduction here in Worcester, Mass. It's a great slide because it really just highlights that photo we showed you earlier of all the different options. And then down here, we get into some extras, 2-pound barrier or 4-inch quilt. We can do heavy-duty frames for larger enclosures or standard track components for standard enclosures. Again, corner strips, balances, roof panels, all standard products here. And then sound curtain partial enclosures or partitions or walls. This is on our track, although we've seen people do it with suspended threaded rod. We can do it with basic floor columns and go as high as 10 feet without using the HD system, as high as 16 feet with an HD. And many times people going that high would like to do suspended from a threaded rod system as well. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. We've seen people put these types of barriers in and outside of planes for various reasons. But when you're putting something up like this, your typical is 12 to 15 dB reduction from one side to the other. And it's just a really nice way to slice up a production floor to give you some mitigation where needed and still allow you a lot of access in open area. This is a great example of that, where we've got multiple bays, 3 adjacent bays with very high levels of noise in each bay, and they're operated all day long, side by side in tandem. However, the plant supervisor wanted visibility in here, so we put some nice clear vinyl full-width windows down the length of each of these panel sections so that each bay can see into the other one all day long, and they can see who's operating and working where, wave or communicate in some fashion to workers on the other side, or see when a bay is available if they need to put something else over that way. With a simple partition wall like this, clear vinyl, an 8 decibel noise reduction is very, very nice, and it really made a great deal of impact with the group that was working in here. Here's an example of both products, both BSC and BBC. So we've got BSC with absorption on both sides to benefit all of these cells. And then we've got a nice durable BBC on double track, so people can move the panels left and right all day as they need to get in and out without sacrificing durability. And the quilt, of course, is facing inside. So we've got quilts facing all 3 sides of the interior, and then barrier on the outside where we need the durability. And with a 14 decibel reduction with no roof on this, which is really incredible when you think about a material that's 1.5 pounds per square foot and barely an inch thick, which is just a great improvement on an already terrific space. Here we're just highlighting some of the typical hardware, roller track, base plates, connectors, roller hooks, different corner types, curved piece, and then we've got some HDs and stud welds down here. Really, if you can crank it up and physically allow it, we can make just about any hardware required, and we've engineered quite a few unique pieces over the years. And we've got a great team here that can figure out this stuff for you. You're not obligated to walk into a plant and know exactly what you're talking about at all times. You just need to know, I need to surround 2, 3, 4 sides. I need to be this tall and this wide, and I need access. If you can give us the who, the when, the what, and the why, and the where, let us figure out the math for you and come up with an idea that would work for you. Here's a portable screen. This has been great over the past 10 years. We really have evolved a lot. This is kind of a rudimentary drawing there, but a little more nicer than that. And to the right, you see we've got nice legs here with casters, and there's a water seal connecting panel A to panel B. But they come in different flavors. You can do BSC, BBC, you can do QFA if you need to. But these are nice to move around and section off pieces of equipment that may have to move throughout your shop during periods of time, or if you're doing a certain type of maintenance a couple of times a year and it's really loud, you can surround a small piece of equipment with a couple of these screens, and it really does make a big difference. And last but not least, we want to highlight the duct wrap. Duct wrap comes in a couple of different styles. It does come in just the duct wrap itself, which is 1 pound or 2 pound version. And then you can provide your own decoupler, or we prefabricate a 1 inch or 2 inch thick clip on that. And noticing that this is going on square duct, you have a lot of round duct as well. There's a lot of water or air pipes moving, those types of things, or particulate, granular, plastics, things of that nature. And when you do cordon off or section off a piece of equipment, sometimes people forget that some of that noise is emanating in those pipes and ducts, and it's nice to wrap 5 to 10 feet of that as well to contain that at the source. Here's just an example of a blower on one side creating noise in the duct, and then noise from the duct emanating into the next room over. Unfortunately, those people in the next room over don't want to have to suffer that loud noise all day long. So if you wrap both sides of that from the source all the way over, you really are mitigating and almost completely dampening that noise as it travels through the duct. And it's a night and day environment when you wrap that type of duct in here for the first time. This is just an example of a type of what our duct wrap looks like. The fiberglass quilt, yes, that's quilted with a screw. It's not just a raw glass. It's nice and tight and bonded to that with adhesive, and you roll it up into 30-foot rolls, and you can do it in a 1 pound or 2 pound version, and a 1 inch thick quilt or a 2 inch thick quilt version. You can keep that on hand, and that's something that we can get out the door within a couple of days to a week, depending on the quantity you need. And it's always a quick fix and a nice add for any project. Here we're just showing the STC values of different types of lag. So lag with no coil at the very bottom of this. Our most common, the B10 line QFA3, we probably sell more than that than anything else. And then, of course, the 2 inch version, which shows a slightly better STC30. The sweet spot is really there between 250 and 2K or 2,000 hertz. That's why the B10 line QFA3 tends to be favored across the board. Thank you guys so much for taking the last 20 minutes to review this webinar with us today. I'm going to leave this slide up for the next 2 minutes and let you copy down any information you'd like. At any time, please feel free to call our industrial sales team. All of us here are very well versed in all of these products, and we'll be willing to help you anytime. And also, feel free to email myself, Aaron Duncan, or David Ingersoll for a copy of this PowerPoint, or if you have questions or concerns about any project work you've got currently or any future project work. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.